All right. Let some people join up here. I'm going to put this link out for people. I didn't do an awesome job of getting ready for this live stream, so bear with me. Hi, Erin. All right. Hope you guys are all having an awesome Friday. Hello from Miami. Hi. Hi from Idaho. All right. So I just want to pull up a couple things here. Hi, all the way from Mexico. Hi, that's awesome. Thank you. Okay. For some reason, like right before this, my computer decided to log me out of everything. So I'm logged out of like my YouTube and my Twitter and my Facebook, and I can't remember my Facebook password. So that's a whole thing. I'm just going to ignore that for now. But so today I wanted to talk about, I just kind of wanted to chat with you guys, talk about some things that have been going on lately and some of the people in my personal life that have found either my YouTube or my TikTok and reached out. Because it's interesting. And I've talked a little bit before about other people. I think the last time we tried to do a live stream, we ended up on TikTok because it wasn't working very well, which, by the way, if this gets like really bad, please let me know. But I had a extended relative reach out recently about finding my TikTok account, and it was really, really interesting, the things that she had to say. So I'm going to try to find that so I can kind of tell you some of the stuff that she said. So if you see me looking over here, that's me looking at my computer trying to get all this stuff set up because I've had kind of a crazy day. It's been a crazy week. I just bought a new car and my kids have been sick again. And I just got home from the store like 30 minutes ago. So I've been a little bit busy. Not a very good YouTuber, so I'm sorry about that. All right, let's get into here. By the way, I went viral on TikTok again for a really dumb reason. I went and made a video about soaking because somebody asked what it was. They didn't know. So I made a video about what soaking is, and I guess a lot of people had never heard of that before, and so pretty interesting. Okay. Oh, hi, Courtney. Thank you so much. I'm trying to keep up the good work. I don't feel like I'm the best YouTuber in the world, but thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay. Let me see if I can find this. I have like a, oh, okay. So I'm not going to tell you her name or anything, but this is an extended relative of mine, somebody that I don't see very often and haven't seen for years. Like I don't remember the last time I saw her was, but when I first made a TikTok account, she ended up finding it and recognizing me. And so she reached out and sent me an email, and I was just kind of like, I don't know, it blew me away. I was so grateful that she thought to let me know and everything. But she basically told me that that she and her family have been out of the church for a while, and she was really grateful that somebody that she knew was, you know, speaking publicly about the church. And she was so sweet in her email. She basically said, like, I'm not a social media person, but I signed up for TikTok and you popped up in my feed. And it took me a minute to put together that, like, it was me because we haven't seen each other in such a long time. But she found my YouTube channel after that. And she said that she literally stood up and cheered. And she said that, like, it was just, like, really brave and stuff. And it meant a whole lot to me. Like, I cried reading her email. And I kept her email because I just want to be able to look back at it and think about it. And the thing that's interesting about the whole situation is that this particular family member and this side of the family, my grandparents are really, really, really spiritual and into the LDS church. Like, the kind of people that want to have like get together family nights all the time and um, like always are wanting to be doing church activities with the kids and going to Nauvoo and things like that to see all the like historic Mormon sites. And but some of the family members are a little bit not, not quite so churchy. But one of the last times I remember being with these family members, I remember so specifically because it kind of like rubbed me the wrong way. But my grandma had mentioned like, oh, like they wear so many like such big dangly earrings and they wear such like nice clothes and stuff. And I feel like that's a little, she mentioned some scripture where it talks about like having too many riches and things is of the world and we shouldn't be like that. And this is one of the people that she had said that about, this extended family member of mine that reached out to me. And so I mean, and back when that happened, I was still a member of the church back when my grandma said that. But I guess I've always remembered it just because I felt like, I mean, like there's nothing wrong with dressing up and wanting to be pretty. We were at a baby shower or something, and it felt like what a petty thing to nitpick at, which I guess is kind of a Mormon thing because I don't know, you there's a lot of like little teeny judgmental things that surround Mormonism. Oh, Joseph Thompson, thank you so much. He says, "Hey Lex, I have a grandfather who is a member and doesn't really care what I believe in, and we have a great relationship." Oh, that's wonderful. I feel like I have a pretty good relationship with most of my grandparents. A lot of them I haven't seen for a long time, but um, some of them, like it's kind of the situation where we don't really talk about religion. Like we don't go there because we kind of understand that we're not on the same page. But we get along okay, so that's good. And by the way, you guys, if you have any questions or anything, I'm going to try to look through the comments and get those. I also did want to mention, because when I tried to do my last live stream on YouTube and it wasn't working, I went on TikTok and talked, but I know not everybody that's subscribed to me has TikTok, and so we didn't really get to tell the story to everybody. But I did have somebody from my old ward reach out to me after, I guess he found my Instagram and then figured out who I was on YouTube and all that kind of thing. And he kind of went off just talking about like how sorry he feels for me and how sad my life must be, and just all kinds of that, like kind of the basic things that Mormons say. I feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for your kids. I feel sorry for your parents. I feel so sad for you because you're living such a sad, miserable life. And I can't possibly imagine you being happy without the church. You know what I mean? So, but if you guys remember, it was probably about a year ago now, I did a video where I talked about a missionary that came home early from her mission. And it was a really, really difficult experience because her parents were so not understanding. And if you guys haven't seen that video, it's a really, really good one. I highly recommend going and looking at it. This friend of mine sent me this whole story so that I could read it to you guys. And it was so, so sad. And especially for me, as somebody who knew who her parents were, I never would have expected them to be so mean and so vile about her coming home early from her mission and being suicidal and having depressive thoughts. So anyway, I've been talking to her recently as well, and she let me know that she ended up leaving the church. And it was after she had collaborated on a couple video ideas with me. And I was just so proud of her for finding the courage to leave, because she had stayed in through so many difficult things, and her parents and her family being just completely not understanding of her and her situation. So I'm hoping that she's able to find a good community here with, when you first leave the church, you a lot of times lose your family, or you don't have contact with them as much, or you lose contact with your ward members and friends that are members. So I think it's really cool that there is such, a big community either on Reddit, which I know a lot of people think Reddit is super toxic, so I'm not sure if that's a great one. I don't spend a lot of time there, but I enjoy ex-Mormon TikTok and ex-Mormon Facebook and those kinds of things. see. Alicia, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. Someone on my Twitter was bugged by your soaking video because ex-Mormons only know how to lie and never leave the church alone. But it's not ex-Mormons that are soaking, it's Mormons. Like, why are we upset about that? Jim Bean says, "Do you have to pay out of pocket to go on a mission? I heard you did." Yeah, I think so. I never went on a mission myself, but it is something you have to pay to do. I think that the church does have, like, if somebody doesn't have the money, if they're a low income family or something like that, they help with that kind of a thing. But I had friends that when I was like 17 were already starting to mow lawns to earn money to pay to go on a mission because their parents weren't going to pay for it, but they wanted to go. But it's weird because your parents also expect you to go. So you'd think that if they're expecting it, they would pay for it. That's just my 2 cents. Linda, thank you so much. You are all the way in Canada. That's awesome. I hope that nobody is staying up super late for this. I don't know what time it is where you're at in Canada. My parents paid for my brother to go on a mission. Joseph Thompson, why do you have to pay to go on a stupid mission? That's a great question because the church is extremely rich, and if they wanted to pay for the missionaries to go, they could do so easily. Like easily, they could pay for all the members or for all the missionaries to go. But it's kind of the same thing where like the church could pay people to clean their buildings, but instead they make the members do it. I don't know. I'm sure that they have some good reason, but I don't think any of it would be a good enough reason, honestly. Oh, and I did want to mention also, I had, since this last video of mine, the soaking one, went viral, another person that I knew from my old ward reached out. And I was in this ward for probably like 15 years, close to 15 years. And I had another person reach out after finding that TikTok video and like snooping through my stuff and being like, wait, I know this person. But she had also left the church not that long ago, like a year and a half maybe. So it was super, super cool to see somebody that I personally know and went to school with and went to Young Women's with for years, who has also now transitioned out of Mormonism. That's my husband. Katie, thank you so much. She says, I'm so happy you're free. Thanks for sharing your story. I'm happy I'm free too. It's a much, much better life. And I honestly like it's I don't know. I see like a lot of my family members that a lot of the times I've heard them say things like, you know, in the church you're blessed and people who leave don't have those blessings anymore. And it's just, I don't know. Like my life since leaving the church just gets better and better. And even in the midst of like all this craziness with COVID and stuff, I feel like life is so good. And we have, I don't know, like I'm just really grateful for all the things that I have. And I don't feel like I've lost blessings since leaving the church. You know what I mean? And I know that's not the same for everybody because like initially when you leave, it's super difficult. Like there's a time that it was just like spent mostly crying and feeling really sad because I felt like I'd lost such a big part of myself. But I don't know. It's a good life outside of the church, and I really, really enjoy having a second Saturday. I can't even tell you how much in the church it was so stressful to have to worry about church every week and worry about preparing lessons every week and those types of things. Paul Arquette, thank you so much for the $5. You didn't leave a message, but I really appreciate it. And Joseph, thank you again. What other weird Mormon things are there? So this is kind of like out there, and soaking, I know for a fact happens. But there's this other thing that I've only heard about, and I'm not 100% sure it's real or if it's just like, you know, a rumor. But I have heard like there's something sexual involving belly buttons. I think it's called derfing. So if anybody else has heard of that, let me know. I'm not sure that's real, so don't like soaking, yes. Derping, I don't know for sure. Other weird Mormon things, I don't know, off the top of my head, just like they have such a language of their own that, like, if you were not a member, you wouldn't understand. Like, I've thought about doing a TikTok just about, like, all the like, there's so many acronyms in the church, like, just LDS, like, saying MOTAB, stake center, um, mutual, just, like, there's, like, a whole language that only Mormons know about. Um, my husband thinks that derfing seems legit. Oh, derfing is dry humping, says Alicia. Dry frickin'. Okay, maybe I didn't know for sure, but that sounds right. Yeah, lots of Mormons dry frick. um, Trevor Osborne, are there any post-Mormon things that you and your husband are excited to try but haven't had a chance to yet? That's an interesting question. And thank you, by the way. I feel like I've kind of done all the things that I wanted to do at this point. I've got a couple tattoos. I've got several piercings. I've considered getting a nose piercing, but I just have not been able to commit to the idea of having a hole in my nose, so I use a fake piercing. Um, my husband doesn't have any piercings yet, but he's considered it, so we'll see. And I've done like the crazy hair colors, and I've tried coffee, and I've tried lots of alcohol, and I mean, what else is there really? I mean, I've lots of rated R movies. I think that I like when we first left, I tried all of the things that like Mormons aren't allowed to do just so that I could, have a normal life and try it. um, Misanthropy, do you have any desire for your personal friends or family still in the church to leave? Always has been taught, or always has been tough for me to gauge how harmful the church is and how much pushback as a result. Yeah, I mean, I'd be lying if I said that I didn't want them to leave on some level, like, for sure. And there's some of them that I feel like definitely I would be so happy if they made their way out. But I mean, like, for like grandparents and stuff, no. People that are nearing the end of their lives and it gives them comfort and makes them happy, and that's what they're happy with in their life. I wouldn't want them to feel the pain that there is when you leave, especially because one of the hardest parts for me when I left was I had this whole idea for myself of what my afterlife was going to be like and how I was going to be with my family. And if you were somebody that was nearing the very end of your life and you had to go through that pain, I mean, that would just be really hard, especially thinking like, I'm going to see my parents again. I'm going to see all my friends again that I've lost that were my age. So for some of them, like the younger ones, yeah, I wish that they would make their way out. But the people that are happy in it and they're doing well and, that kind of thing, not really. I definitely would say like siblings and close people like that are my age, I would be really happy if they left because I feel like we'd have a lot more in common. So, um, I'm sorry if I missed your comment, guys, by the way, you guys. Nadia M, what's your take on Islam? I feel like there's a strong correlation between Mormonism and Islam when it comes to beliefs. So I, from what I know, which is not a whole lot yet, there definitely are similarities. A lot of people I mean, I don't know, the people, especially if they're really religious or if they are very, very Mormon, um, they like to bring up like, well, if you talk so bad about Mormonism, like why don't you talk bad about Islam or like Muslims and stuff like that? And it's like, well, I never was Muslim and I don't know a lot about it, so I feel like it's not really my place to talk about it. But I mean, there's definitely things that are similar. Like as far as the modesty goes, obviously, in Muslim there's a higher level of modesty, but it's kind of, I mean, you can see it with different religions how they kind of have different ideas of what's modest and what's not. Like some Christians are totally okay with tank tops and shorter skirts and stuff, but then Mormons are like, you have to have to the knee skirts and you have to cover your shoulders. And then like FLDS, they want all the way down to the wrist sleeves and all the way down to the ground skirts. And then in Islam, a lot of people wear head coverings and even face coverings and just show their eyes. So, I mean, there's definitely like similarities in a lot of different religions like that, but yeah, that's my 2 cents, I guess. Alicia, what's your favorite drink? I turned 21 this year. My favorite drink that I've tried is coconut rum. I really like Malibu, and I think there's this one other brand, I don't remember the name, but to me, that's the smoothest. It goes down the easiest, and it's easy to mix in lots of different things. And I gotta be honest with you guys, I hate beer and I hate wine. They're just ugh, ugh, not my thing. I like it to taste somewhat decent. Um, Jackie's Weird World says you should do more lives. I would like to, but they make me really anxious and they scare me. So I don't do them that often. I actually, on my Patreon though, I think it was like a few weeks ago now, I did a Zoom call with all of them. And that was really fun. I was nervous about that too, but it was super, super fun. And so I'm definitely going to do more there for patrons. And I'll try to do more lives as well. Probably not always on YouTube, but maybe some TikTok ones as well. Just kind of depends on what's going on at the time. And sometimes it depends on like how much time I have to make a video. Like I've already got next week's video ready, but I didn't have something that I want. Like I didn't want to put that one out this week, and I was like, it'd be more fun to do a live, and I've been thinking about doing one. So, um, Aldo said, "Whoop, I lost it." And now I can't find it. Where was that? Okay, Lex, has any of your family members or friends left the church because of your discovering of the truth? Um, I'm not 100% sure if it's directly or not, but um, I have talked to a few like cousins and things that have not known about a lot of the things that I didn't know about because when I left the church, it was like I read the CES letter and found out tons of information all at the same time because I had never ever looked at any anti-Mormon material or believed any of it. And so I found out all this info at once. And I did have one cousin that I talked to that was like kind of in the same place where she was like, I don't, what? Like, all of this happened? Like, all of this is a thing. And I'm like telling her all these different things. And I think that I'm not sure where she's exactly at, but when I talked to her last, it was like, I'm not really affiliated with the church anymore and I don't really want to be. I would say that, like, more so, I know a lot of, not a lot, I know some personal friends of mine or people that my husband knows personally that have left, and even a couple of family members of his. Hi, Ruben. It's good to see you here. Pretty Little Geek One says, please try a Moscato, a sweet, amazing, sprinkling white wine coming from a fellow wine hater. I'm in love with this type. Oh, that's interesting. Have we tried that? I don't remember. When we first left the church, we experimented a lot and tried a lot more. I mean, we drank probably 4 times a month then, and now it's maybe like once or twice a month. KDG, did it feel strange getting married in the temple and were you able to have guests? It, oh, oh my gosh, what a rabbit hole. Yeah, it was, I don't know. As a child, I really had all these high hopes and dreams for what my wedding would be like, and Mormon weddings are just not that. It did feel really strange getting married in the temple. And it, you were able to have guests, a limited number. I'm thinking that my husband and I probably had like 15 each that we could invite because they go into like these little ceiling rooms, and I think that they vary in size, but for ours, I think there were probably like 30 people that could fit in it. So like my parents and grandparents and a few close aunts and uncles and things like that. But it was sad because a lot of our friends couldn't be there. I mean, I was like the first of my friends to get married, so my friends weren't in there with me. Um, and then, I mean, there are family members that aren't temple worthy that couldn't be there, and that was sad. And the whole thing is like you have to do things very structured. And when you actually have the ceremony, you're wearing those clothes that I've showcased in videos before with the green apron and all of that stuff that's not very attractive or it's not something I would choose to wear personally. And I had a veil over my face. And when you would normally say I do in a regular wedding ceremony, in a Mormon temple ceremony, you have to say yes. And I didn't know any of that before getting married, obviously, because this temple things are very secret and very sacred. So I didn't find out until I was getting married, and like all of these things, I was just like, this is not what I was hoping for my wedding. So yeah, sorry, that was kind of a tangent, but I mean, it was a sad experience and a lot. I mean, like it was getting married, and I was really happy to get married, but not the best way to do it. Um, I'm sorry, I'm probably missing a bunch of comments here. Paul Arquette, greetings, Lex. I'm not LDS. How long after I die can I expect to be baptized into the LDS church? Interesting question. I'm not sure how long they take to get access to that information. It's probably at least a few years, but don't quote me on that because I'm not sure. I've done baptisms for the dead, and I've done confirmations for the dead, and I've done sealings for the dead. A lot of times, though, for me, the names were really old-fashioned names, so I think that they were, people who lived a long time ago. Frenchman's Fury, do you watch other atheist YouTubers? I do. I like to watch Jimmy Snow, and I like to watch Telltale Atheist, GM Skeptic, and Holy Kool-Aid. Holy Kool-Aid's videos are fantastic. Highly recommend. I mean, all of them are. I don't watch very many Mormon YouTubers, and I used to. Like when I first left, that was pretty much all I watched was ex-Mormon YouTubers. But since I started doing my own stuff, I get nervous about people thinking that I'm like stealing ideas, so I don't watch ex-Mormon ones so much anymore. Ammonberg, tips on telling my YSA friends / posting on social media that I'm leaving. Whew. I mean, it's up to you how you go about that. But when I was first leaving, I considered writing an email and sending it to all of my family, like extended family and everything, telling them that I was leaving. And somebody talked me out of it. And I feel like I'm really glad that they did, because it didn't need to be said. And I think personally for me, and this, I mean, it's different for everybody. I've seen a lot of people that will make a post on Facebook and it's amazing. Like sometimes their posts move me to tears. But for me personally, I found it was better to just start, you know, doing my life the way I wanted to. And so in some photos on Facebook or whatever, it'd be like, oh, you can see my double ear piercing, or you could see that I'm wearing a tank top, or see that I'm going out on a Sunday, and infer that I'm not believing anymore. I ended up not wanting to create a rift by being like, I'm leaving the church just so everybody knows. You know what I mean? But if you do decide to do it, I would do it in the most gentle way possible, and speak from the heart. Let's see. Somebody asked, DH, have you ever been on Mormon Stories? No, I have not. And it's a funny story. John Dylan actually reached out to me several months ago asking if I wanted to be on Mormon Stories, and I said, yeah, of course. And then it never happened. I don't know if he forgot or got busy, or I mean, it's no big deal, like whatever. But I was going to be, but no, I haven't been. RC Carter, have you ever been totally drunk? Yeah, absolutely. I don't like to do that so much anymore, but when we first left the church and it was like we didn't know how to contain ourselves and didn't know how much alcohol was a good amount versus too much, yeah, we got really drunk. Evan Evers, would you two renew vows or something similar and do it in the form of your dream wedding and reception? Yes, I want to do that for our 10th anniversary. Let's see, we're on year 8, so we'll be married 9 years this year. So we'll be 2022, maybe we could have a vow renewal, but it would probably be like close friends and non-Mormons, honestly, so that we could do it the way we wanted, which would be, having alcoholic beverages there and playing music that is maybe less than reverent and things like that. But I would love to be able to wear a dress that I really like rather than one that I had to settle for because I was LDS and it had to be modest. So I've thought about that a lot, yeah. Um, Adarius Yancey, what made you start a YouTube channel and did you go to college? Um, I got in a fight with my dad about I had posted a comment on one of Zelf on the Shelf's videos on Facebook, and he saw it and took issue with the fact that I agreed with them. And so we got in a fight, and he told me to, his exact words were, "You left the church, good for you, but keep your mouth shut about it." And it really, really upset me because I felt like, how dare you tell me what I'm allowed to talk about? This is really important to me. And I wasn't even, going out and telling anybody. I was just agreeing with Zelf on the Shelf. So that's when I made my first video. And then a lot of people liked it and asked me to make more. And so I did. And then I've just kept going since then. And the crazy thing is, it's been like almost 2 years now. Jackie's Weird World. My dad says anti-Mormon material is from the devil. Well, if so, the devil is not the lying man we thought he was. That's a good point. Catherine Madden, I felt like we were herded like a bunch of cattle at the Salt Lake City Temple. I've never been to the Salt Lake City Temple, and I kind of wish that I had gone at least once. And because I don't think that they're doing the live endowment sessions anymore, and I do wish I had experienced that at least one time. But just the other temples that I've been in, it does feel a little bit like that. I especially felt that way during endowment sessions and baptisms for the dead. I felt like the sealing sessions were honestly the best because there were a lot less people, and I don't know, it was a little bit more fun to be with your partner and be able to do those things. Like in the endowment session, I don't know if all of you guys know this, but they have the men sit on one side and the women sit on the other, so you can't even sit with your spouse. Okay, let's scroll down here some more. Somebody else, Eon, Kira Rahu. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. John Delenn once told me in an email that he would soon get back to me on Mormon Stories, but I never heard back. Yeah, I think that happens. He seems like a really, really busy guy, and he's got a lot of people that he talks to, so it's fine. El Rey says, "Has your dad come around?" Yeah, mostly. I don't think we agree still. He's in a weird position with his beliefs right now, but we're definitely not on the same page. But we get along. I mean, I talked to him today, and it was a great conversation, so it's fine. I love him a lot. Anna Mirovic said, "Would you ever consider leaving Idaho to live in a more religiously liberal state?" Yeah, I would love to. Actually, when I first moved to Idaho, I was super opposed to it. Now that I've lived here a while, I really like it for like the natural beauty that it has. Like this is a gorgeous place to live, to go camping and just go see the outdoors. It's incredible, and it does have a lot of things that I really like, but it's still really religious, really Mormon, and really, really red. But I mean, at this point in my life, moving isn't an option, especially given the current housing market. I couldn't even afford to buy my own house now. So I'll be here for the foreseeable future. Let's see. Andrew Panagiotis, good thing you were not Jehovah's Witness. I have heard bad things about the Jehovah's Witnesses. Like I said, Telltale Atheist is one of my favorite atheist YouTubers, and he grew up Jehovah's Witness, and it seems just as, if not more, controlling than Mormonism in a lot of ways. But I also feel like within both Mormonism and a cult like the Jehovah's Witnesses, there are different levels of that. Like, for example, in my family, they were pretty strict about a lot of things, but there was a family that lived across the street from us that had like 8 kids, and they were very, very old fashioned. They didn't want to listen to like very much modern music. And just their whole attitude around the religion was much more controlled than mine personally was. Then I also knew Mormons who, were really Jack Mormons. I know some personally now that are really Jack Mormon and they don't follow all the rules. And then within Jehovah's Witnesses, a lot of times the stories you hear about are going to be the ones where they're more tightly controlled and stuff. But one of my best friends when I was like 18 or 19, his parents were Jehovah's Witnesses, and they were really laid back. They still went out like tracting every week and stuff, but they were really laid back and they didn't really care what he did. So I think it kind of varies from family to family in these types of religions. You guys are really, really sweet in the comments. Thank you for your compliments. I don't really want to say it out loud because it makes me feel uncomfortable, but thank you for saying nice things. um, Sky Jest, do you still believe that Jesus Christ is God's son? No, I don't believe in Jesus Christ as the Son of God. I mean, there might have been a man named Jesus, but I don't believe in the Son of God, Jesus Christ. Sam Huff says, "What shampoo do you use?" I think it's called Sexy Hair. My sister-in-law is a hairstylist, and she recommended it. Oops. Epic Derp says, "Anything you're looking forward to in the near future?" Looking to getting my vaccine. Looking forward to getting my vaccine and being able to see people and go places again. Allison says, "Where in Idaho? I grew up in Twin Falls and very happily in Brooklyn now." I live in the Treasure Valley area, so around Boise. And I've lived here for like 6 years, kind of in different areas. Like I've lived in Mountain Home, I lived in Cuna, I've lived in Eagle. I've been all over this area. Ammonberg says, "Have you had to deal/cope with death? It's my biggest fear now knowing I can't live forever." I'm sorry. Yeah, I have had to do that a little bit with just people I've known. One of the hardest things for me when I first left also was being like, well, like it's still hard for me to conceptualize like not existing because that's all I've ever done. So yeah, it is hard for me in some ways, like thinking about people I've known that have passed away and having the forethought, I'm definitely going to see all of them again. And now being like, well, the last time I saw them was the last time I saw them. And the way that I kind of got through that was honestly just diving into learning about things. And I mean, I put a lot of time into reading books and watching YouTube videos and doing research into things that interested me and things that had to do with death. Personally, I really, really recommend the YouTuber and author Caitlin Doughty. She has a YouTube channel. What was the name of it? The Good Death or something like that. But you can just search her name, Caitlin Doughty. She's got an incredible YouTube channel. I watch every single video. She was a mortician and is now a funeral director. She talks very frankly about death. And a lot of her stuff was so therapeutic for me because it made death not seem quite as scary. She has a few great books. I have every book she's written. So look her up on YouTube, on Audible. Ask a Mortician. That's it. Thank you so much, Allison. Was that Allison that said that? Yeah. And Dirk, thank you. Ask a Mortician. Amazing YouTube channel, incredible author. Love her so much. And she really did help me get through the fear that I had of death. Let's see. Sam, hey Lex, thanks for teaching me that Mormonism is a cult. The video that did it for me was the bite model vid. I can't thank you enough. I am really glad that that helped. One of the things that helped me see that was the bite model, but also comparing other cults to Mormonism. Like I learned more about the FLDS church and I learned more about the People's Temple and stuff. And when I was able to draw so many similarities between things that I knew were cults and my own religion, that's when I started realizing like, oh, wow, I actually have been in a cult my whole life. That's crazy. Sam Huff, did you ever make it to Oregon? Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Yeah, I don't think I'll be going back. Let's see. Ruben D. Hoyos, did you see the interview with Sandra Tanner and John Dehlin over the Hoffman Affair? I have not, That's what I would like to take a look at, but no, I haven't seen it. I did watch the Netflix special. That's one of the question like, over the past couple weeks, I've got to ask that question more times than probably any other thing. "Did you watch the YouTube Murder in the Mormons thing?" Yes, I did. It was very interesting, and, like, I mean, I knew a lot of the stuff that was in it, but watching the people who were actually there talking about it was really cool. Craig Call, hi, good to see you here. What kinds of things have you learned about that really helped you with your feelings about death? I would say a lot of like the initial research I did just about like how we came to be. Reading *Sapiens* was really good for that. I have it somewhere. I think it's over there. Um, *Sapiens* was an amazing book that helped me feel better about death, and all of Caitlin Doughty's books. Just things like learning about the process of death, learning about the process of life, learning about evolution, learning just, about those types of things. Learning about even like space and the universe and things like that. It was just, I don't know. I guess it gave me peace to start to understand the world around me better, and that's when I started feeling like I was more prepared, I guess. I love that a bunch of you guys know Ask a Mortician. It makes me really happy. It's an amazing channel. Um, let's see. Um, Ardale Coffee. So, out of curiosity, does anyone have any tips on trying to overcome those Mormon shame cycles that's ingrained in you? So, I think like a couple years ago now, probably before I started my own YouTube channel, Jimmy Snow, Dear Mr. Atheist, did a video about how he personally was able to overcome the guilt and shame cycle. And I still remember a lot of what he said. So this is like his thing, not mine. But to answer your question, what he said that he did was when he would start to feel guilty about something. So, like, let's say, I don't know, you're like drinking or something and you start to feel guilty about, oh my gosh, like I shouldn't drink alcohol. That's bad. And I feel so bad about that. His idea was take it back a notch each time. So, like, well, why do I feel guilty about it? Well, because the church says so. Like, but okay, so you feel bad about it because the church says it's wrong. But what do we know about the church? Okay, we know that Joseph Smith wasn't a prophet. We know that the Book of Mormon is not a real historical, book. We know that XYZ about the church, and kind of take it back to remembering the church is not true. So there's not a reason for me to feel that way. You should go look it up and see if you can find his video because he explains it much, much better than I could off the top of my head like this. But look up like Dear Mr. Atheist, like Mormon guilt or shame or something like that. And you could probably find it coming up on YouTube. Craig Call, what has been your favorite thing that you have learned about the church in all of your research? That's an interesting question because I'm not sure any of them are my favorite thing. Like, hmm, I, I guess for me, it would be just how inconsistent the whole thing is. And how much control the prophets and apostles seem to have over the members in a lot of ways. And it's been interesting with the virus to see how people are responding to what the prophets have to say about that. But I mean, I don't know. I love the videos that I've done where I talk about the inconsistencies in Mormonism. It's infuriating, but it's really, really interesting to just like compare what each prophet and apostle has said to each other and how sometimes they completely contradict each other. So I guess I would say that's my favorite thing that I've learned is just that they clearly are all over the place and are not prophets. Let's see. Another Lexi says, today is my 22nd birthday, and I am making a plan to leave my LDS extremist family and the husband they forced me to marry right at 18. Your videos have helped me feel valid and not alone. Thank you. That's amazing. Congratulations and happy birthday. I'm so happy for you. I really hope that that transition goes well. Craig Call again, favorite as in most interesting or absurd. I liked your answer. The inconsistencies are so glaring, and I love that too. Yeah, I would still say that my answer is the same. But also, I don't know. I guess the whole thing with Joseph Smith and the Book of Abraham, I didn't know about that before I left, and I was just floored by how I mean, that's easily accessible information, and so many Mormons don't know that it's not real. When I first found out, I tried to tell my dad about it and be like, "Look, like, the Book of Abraham isn't at all what Joseph said it was," and he was like, "That's not true," and I was like, "Yes, it is, you can look at it on the church website." He was like, "No, you can't." I was just like, "But you can." So, I don't know. That for me is one of them, I guess. Let's see. Spencer Bartholomew, my sis is leaving on a mission next week and I want to support her, but I can't help but feel apprehensive about it since I don't believe in it anymore. Do you have any advice? I yeah, I've been in the same position. I had a brother-in-law leave on a mission right after I found out that the church wasn't true, and that was rough. It definitely isn't easy because you want to be supportive and you want to not make them feel bad for their choice and stuff, but what I did was just try to be calm with myself and know that, like, there's he might figure this out someday, but right now this is what he wants to do. And so I still like wrote him emails and tried to be as supportive as I possibly could, but I also didn't like, I wasn't like, how many people did you baptize or how's the teaching going? Like I tried to ask more about how's the area that you're in? Like, have you met any interesting people? Have you eaten any interesting food? Like, what are you excited about for when you get home? Those kinds of things to just kind of try to keep the religion part out of it. So I didn't feel like, I mean, I wasn't supporting religion and his Mormon preaching, but I was supporting him as a person and letting him know that I cared about him. Sam Huff asked, have you met Sam and Tanner from Zelf on the Shelf? I've met Tanner. I've never met Sam. Tanner stayed over at our house one night when he was traveling. He's awesome. He's super, super nice, really nice guy. Um, Sam Huff asked, "How is your daughter doing?" I'm assuming you're talking about my daughter that had heart surgery. She's great. I mean, she's sick. She's actually puked a couple times today, but I think it's just a tummy virus passing through. But on the whole, she's fantastic, and she is totally healed up. You can barely see the scar anymore, so she's doing amazing. They said that her heart isn't enlarged anymore and that it's working properly, so she's great. Um, David O'Donnell said, "Have you ever connected with people from the atheist community of Austin?" Yeah, actually, breaks my heart a little bit, but a year ago when they were planning, ugh, the name escapes me. There's a atheist creator get together in Austin through the ACA. And I got invited to that and offered a ticket to go, and it got canceled because of COVID, and I was so, so, so sad. Um, but Drew from Genetically Modified Skeptic, he had personally invited me when that was going to be a thing. So I hope that when it happens again, I'll get another invite and I can go. Um, Dirk Hoekstra, weird question, but would you have believed in God and Jesus if you never grew up Mormon? For example, Baptist or charismatic? Have you ever wondered if the LDS perverted the real gospel? Um, I mean, I'm sure I would have if I'd been born as a Catholic or a Baptist or whatever. I probably would have just done whatever my family had told me was the truth. And I don't know if I would have ever figured it out. I mean, I guess maybe. I guess it just depends on what the circumstances would have been. Um, but I don't think that there is a real gospel, so I don't think the LDS Church has perverted anything. Honestly, one of the things that bothers me the most since I mean, and it bothered me when I was a Mormon too, but it bothers me more now, is when other religions that say that they're Christian like to point fingers and be like, Mormons aren't real Christians. And for a while after I left the church, I got that and kind of understood where they were coming from because I was like, oh, yeah, I still believe in Jesus and the Mormon Jesus is different. But after leaving all of it, it really bothers me when people try to gatekeep Christianity. So it's just like, I don't feel like it would be if any of it was real and if God was real and if Jesus was real, it would so not be up to us to decide who's a real Christian and who is not. That's just that's just my 2 cents. Um, Joe Farmarco, can you speak to Mormon control of political thought? I know one Mormon who is a very outspoken leftist liberal, but seems to be a faithful church member. I wonder if her views put her at odds with church. That's an interesting question. Yeah, it seems like most LDS people are very conservative, and a lot of that comes from just how the church has been in the past. People like Spencer W. Kimball and Ezra Taft Benson were extremely, extremely conservative and were opposed to anything, even things like, um, I mean, they were very against civil rights and stuff like that. They thought that that was evil and it was going to bring communism and things like that. So I think that a lot of, especially the Mormons that were raised during that time period and heard from people like Spencer W. Kimball, were super, super scared of anything even slightly left. And almost every Mormon I know is very, very conservative. But I do have a family member who has always been LDS and more left, and it's hard for her to be in that position because not a lot of people that she, is in close contact with agree with her. So I mean, I'm sure it's not an easy place to be in. Even when before I left the church, I was starting to lean more that way on certain issues, and a lot of people didn't agree with me. And I would still, back then, I still very much considered myself a Republican and very conservative and stuff. But there were just a few issues that I was like not so sure about anymore. And yeah, a lot of people didn't agree with me. Like when Trump was running, I don't want to get too into politics, but when Trump was running, I didn't like him then either. And that was when I was a Republican. Um, let's see. I'm sorry if I say too much. Sometimes people get so mad at me for the dumbest stuff. Ruth Siegmiller, any advice for learning how to thrive after leaving the church? Did you go through any tough waves of depression? If so, what helped you get out of the funk? Kind of what I talked about earlier. The thing that helped me the most was doing research and learning and educating myself on lots of different topics, and that's kind of how I distracted myself. And I mean, ex-Mormon YouTube, atheist YouTube, and the people in the community were really, really helpful for that. I kind of wish I'd had TikTok back then because it might have been helpful too. A lot of the people on there are fantastic. But making new friends outside of the church, friends that I'd had that weren't members that I had not had as much contact with, I contacted again, was like, we need to hang out, like, and they were more than supportive, and they have been incredible, just really, really sweet about it. And um, I mean, that's helped a lot. It's just making new friends outside of the church and building a new community and enjoying life that way. Sam Huff, yeah, it is expensive. I get it through my hairstylist sister-in-law, and so she gets it to me at cost, and it's cheaper, but I wouldn't buy it if I couldn't get it cheaper. Um, Rebecca Woods asked, did your political views change after you left the church? And they did, yeah. Like I said, I was already not quite as conservative as I used to be before I left, but yeah, I kind of did a 180. Allie Mercury, would you ever consider doing things like paganism or Buddhism? Probably not. I mean, I don't know. I don't know a ton about it. I don't have any spiritual beliefs, and it doesn't, so right now, at least for me, it's just not something that I need in my life. I'm pretty busy as it is, and I'm pretty happy as it is, and I don't feel like adding more onto that. As far as like mythology and stuff like that, like I think Norse mythology is really cool. I watched Vikings, and then I read a book about Vikings, and so I really like Vikings recently. But so like that part of paganism, yeah. But I'm not, no, not really. Um, let's see. Cody McDaniel asked, what are your thoughts on the word of wisdom after leaving the church? It's silly, especially the banning of hot drinks, which the church interprets as coffee and tea, because tea is my favorite thing in the universe. I do think that there is some like level of good that comes from avoiding alcohol to like an extreme extent, but I don't know, like I drink. It's just few and far between. And I think as long as it's done within reason, it's just not a big deal. And I don't think that the Mormon church or any church should try to control people's bodies, and that's one of the things that bothers me the most about it because people should be able to make those choices for themselves. And the church likes to talk a lot about having agency and allowing people to do whatever they want. But then they also don't allow you to do whatever you want. So I think people should just be able to make those choices for themselves. Craig asked, what has been the most unexpected benefit from leaving the church? Unexpected. Hmm. I don't know. Most of it is pretty obvious, like having a second Saturday and not having to pay tithing and that kind of thing. I guess it is kind of amazing how much less stressed I've been since leaving. I guess I didn't really think about it until after I had left, but there was a lot of, I guess part of it is having a better relationship. There were things about the church that just made a relationship difficult. And after I left, it got a lot easier. So I guess that was a good benefit. Let's see. Ali Mercury said, what are your thoughts on this? Someone I know suggested Mormons don't drink hot drinks because the heat is of the devil. Well, I mean, if that were true, they also wouldn't be allowed to like eat Mexican food, the spiciness or hot food. Like, that just seems silly. Uh, Most Mormons these days like to talk about the tannins. That's like their big thing, and also the caffeine. But I mean, there's lots of like, I mean, you can. They don't drink like decaffeinated coffee either. Coffee is off limits, and tea is off limits unless it's herbal. But I also know some Mormons that don't agree with that. You shouldn't have any tea, even if it's herbal. So I mean, it's all over the place, all over the place. I know the mug is fantastic. Nice tits, and then it has all different kinds of tits. I love it. Um, let's see. Eve L, does that mean they only take cold showers too? No. But I mean, that would make sense if their whole thing was that heat is bad, then they would like all live in Antarctica and never have warm food, right? Pretty Little Geek one, why is green tea bad? It's literally so good for you. Because the church said so. Word of wisdom is such a thing with Mormons. Let's see. Kristen Varner, gonna try to ask again without spamming, but do you think Jesus existed? So I don't believe in Jesus as the Son of God. If you guys have heard of Aaron Ra, he's another one of my very favorite YouTubers in the whole world, and he has a great book too, Foundational Falsehoods of Creationism. Highly recommend that. It's also on Audible. He has done videos where he talks about what his views are on Jesus existing as a person, even if he wasn't the Son of God. And I align with him a lot, where I think that, maybe that there was a guy named Jesus a long time ago in that area, but I don't necessarily think that he, I mean, like these myths and things that are assigned to this person are actually things that, he did or anything like that. I recommend looking up Aron Ra. It's Aron space RA, and probably keywords like Jesus existing or Jesus existed or Bible, things like that. You'll find it. He's amazing. He's an amazing person. I love him. Okay, if you guys, let's see. I gotta go soon. I actually haven't eaten yet today, and my dinner just got here, and I'm hungry. Um, so I'll answer a few more questions, and then I'm gonna wrap it up. Sky Just, are you gonna allow your kids to decide on their own? Great question. Yeah, absolutely. I definitely want to have a really open dialogue with them about different religions. And I mean, I've got several different holy books in my home that I would love if they read and if they were to explore that for themselves. Um, and I want to put an emphasis on them that like this is what I think, and this is how I got to that point, but you get to decide for yourself. I want to give them critical thinking skills and let them go from there. So if they decide one day, when they're a little bit older, like older teenagers, like, oh, I want to get baptized, then I'll be like, okay, go for it, whatever makes you happy. So for now, my kids are little, and my whole thing is just teaching them critical thinking skills, which is surprisingly difficult to teach small children, but we'll get there. Actually, my son one time when I was trying to tell him, because his got a lot of family members that believe in Jesus, and um, there was and like I was telling him like, well, some people believe in heaven, and I remember him saying something like, well, that doesn't make any sense because people can't walk on clouds. When I'd said that like heaven, that's what people think of as a representative of heaven. It was very funny. Okay. Um Harry Harry something 5. Why are you inside instead of in the van? The only reason that I do videos in the van is because during the day when I film videos, my kids are really, really loud in the house, and there is no way I can get anything done because I have children literally hanging off of my body all day long. So at night when they're in bed, I can do a live stream and I can talk, but I normally don't like to film videos late at night. I like to do it in the daytime. So that's why. Also, I don't have the van anymore. I replaced it a couple days ago. So not this next video, but the one after that will be in a new studio. All right. I think we'll leave it there. Thank you guys so much for joining today. It was really good to talk to you. I love answering your questions and getting to talk about um, these fun things going on with people I know personally leaving the church. It's a big, big step, and it can be so difficult in the beginning. But I feel like when you make your way out of a cult, life on the other side is so much better. And even during a difficult time like 2020 and 2021 have been so far, like I have so much hope for the future, and it's been the best time of my life these last couple of years since I left. So I hope that you guys all have an incredible weekend, and it was really good talking to you all. And I will see you next time. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for the super chats.